Limitation creates creativity. At first, that sounds backwards, because most people believe creativity comes from freedom, from having more time, more money, more opportunities, more resources. We imagine that if life removed all pressure, we would finally become our best selves. But if you observe carefully, life often works in the opposite way. Some of the most creative people, the most resilient minds, the strongest characters, were not created through comfort. They were shaped through limitation. Because limitation does something comfort never can. It forces awareness. When everything is available to you, you rarely stop to think deeply. You consume more. You depend more. You move without intention. But when options become limited, something changes inside a person. The mind begins to sharpen. You start asking different questions. How do I make this work? How do I adapt? What can I create with what I already have? And that shift is powerful. Because creativity is not simply artistic expression. Creativity is the ability to see possibility where others only see restriction. And limitation trains that ability. Look at nature. A tree growing in the middle of a forest must compete for light. Because of that limitation, it grows taller, stronger, more focused in direction. Pressure shapes it, but a tree with unlimited space may spread comfortably, yet never develop the same strength. Human beings are not very different. Some of the strongest people you will ever meet did not become strong because life was easy. They became strong because life demanded something from them. And when life demands something from you, you either break or you discover parts of yourself you never knew existed. That's why many people only discover their creativity, their resilience, their purpose, after something is taken away, after money becomes tight, after business slows down, after a relationship ends, after certainty disappears. Because certainty creates routine, but uncertainty creates awareness. And awareness changes everything. Think about it. A person with unlimited money often solves problems by spending more. But a person with limitations must become intentional. He studies more carefully. He thinks more deeply. He notices things others ignore. And over time, that awareness becomes an advantage. This is true in business. This is true in relationships. This is true in life. Sometimes the people with the least resources develop the greatest ability to create value because they had no choice. And there is something important about that. When a person has no choice, he often meets his real self. Not the comfortable version, not the distracted version, the real one. The one capable of adapting, building, surviving, creating. But most people spend their lives trying to escape limitation completely. And in doing so, they unintentionally escape growth. Now, this doesn't mean suffering is good, or that struggle should be romanticized. That's not the point. The point is that limitation carries hidden lessons, if you know how to observe them. Because limitation removes excess. When time is limited, you learn what matters most. When money is limited, you learn the difference between need and desire. When opportunities are limited, you stop wasting energy on things without meaning. And when comfort disappears, you begin relying on yourself. That is why some people grow tremendously during difficult seasons, while others collapse. The external situation may be the same, but the interpretation is different. One person sees limitation as punishment. Another sees it as training. One asks, "Why is this happening to me?" The other asks, "What is this trying to teach me?" And those are two completely different lives. Because the meaning you give difficulty determines what difficulty becomes. A limitation can become a prison, or it can become a doorway. That choice belongs to you. And maybe this is why many people never discover their deeper potential, because they are constantly overstimulated. Too much distraction, too much entertainment, too much comfort. The mind never has to struggle, so it never develops depth. But when limitation enters your life, silence enters with it. And in silence, you begin to see clearly. You begin noticing your habits, your fears, your wasted energy. And slowly, something inside you reorganizes itself. Not because someone saved you, but because limitation forced you to meet yourself honestly. This is why some people look back years later and realize the season they hated most was the season that changed them completely. The breakup that forced growth. the financial struggle that created discipline, the failure that created clarity. At the time, it felt unfair, but later, they understood. Because limitation was never only taking from them, it was shaping them. And maybe that's the part we forget. Life is not only giving us comfort. Sometimes, it is preparing us for expansion. But expansion without preparation destroys people. That's why limitation matters. It teaches patience, discipline, focus, gratitude. Things abundance alone cannot always teach. So if you are in a season of limitation right now, financially, emotionally, mentally, don't rush to see it as the end. Ask yourself a different question. What is this season trying to develop within me? Because maybe the very thing you are resisting today is preparing you for the person you are meant to become tomorrow. And maybe that is why limitation creates creativity. Because when life removes excess, it leaves you face to face with your ability to create.